The elevator. Asterisk asterisk 3000 words asterisk asterisk. Margaret pressed the service elevator button for the 40th floor, her cleaning cart squeaking as she repositioned it. The diamond-studded watch on her wrist caught the fluorescent light, a gift from her late mother, the only valuable thing she owned. She checked the time, 6:47 a.m. Perfect. She'd finish the executive suites before the Monday morning rush. The elevator doors opened to reveal polished marble floors and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Wellington and Associates occupied the entire floor, one of Manhattan's most prestigious investment firms. Margaret had cleaned their offices for 3 years, invisible to most who worked there. She began her routine in the conference room, wiping down the mahogany table where decisions worth millions were made daily. Through the glass walls, she noticed someone slumped at a desk in one of the corner offices. Unusual. The executives never arrived before 8. Margaret knocked gently. "Excuse me, sir." A young man jerked awake, papers scattering from his lap. He couldn't have been more than 25, with dark circles under his eyes and a wrinkled dress shirt. "I'm sorry, I must have dozed off. Are you all right?" Margaret asked, noting the half-empty coffee cups surrounding him. "You look like you've been here all night." "2 nights, actually." He laughed weakly, running a hand through disheveled hair. "I'm David Chen, junior analyst. Big presentation this morning, and I." He trailed off, staring at his computer screen with mounting panic. "Oh God. Oh no, no, no. What's wrong?" "My presentation, it's corrupted. The file won't open. 8 months of work, and I present to the partners in 90 minutes. His hands shook as he frantically clicked through folders. "I'm dead. My career is over before it started." Margaret set down her cleaning supplies. "Do you have a backup?" "On the shared drive, but it won't load either. The whole system is glitching." He looked up at her with desperate eyes. "I sound insane complaining to you about this. You probably think I'm just another entitled." "I think you're someone who needs help," Margaret interrupted. "My son is in IT. He taught me a few things. May I?" David hesitated, then gestured to the computer. Margaret pulled out her phone and called her son, putting him on speaker. Together, through recovery steps. 15 minutes later, David's presentation flickered to life on the screen. "I can't." "How did you?" David stared at the monitor, then at Margaret. "You just saved my life. Seriously. What can I do? Let me pay you, or..." "You don't owe me anything, baby. Just go wash your face and comb your hair. Can't present looking like you wrestled a bear." Margaret smiled warmly. "And David? You're going to do great. I can tell you worked hard on this." "Thank you, Mrs. Margaret." Just Margaret. 2 hours later, Margaret was cleaning the break room when raised voices echoed from the hallway. "You deliberately sabotaged me." David's voice rang out. "That's a serious accusation, Chen." That was Richard Blackwood, senior partner. Margaret recognized his cold, measured tone. "The file corruption, it happened from your login. IT confirmed it." "Careful. You're new here. You don't understand how things work. I understand you felt threatened by my analysis of the Henderson account. You've been managing it for 5 years, and my research showed nothing. Your presentation this morning was adequate, but let's be honest, you had help. I know you didn't recover that file yourself." Margaret's stomach tightened. She continued wiping the counter, trying to remain invisible. "What does that have to do with anything?" David said. "It means you're not as sharp as you think. And it means making enemies of people who can end your career before lunch is inadvisable." Richard's footsteps approached the break room. He stopped when he saw Margaret. "Oh, the help is here. Perfect timing. My coffee cup is in my office. Make sure it's thoroughly cleaned." His emphasis on thoroughly dripped with contempt. Margaret nodded silently, avoiding eye contact. After he left, David appeared in the doorway. "Margaret, I'm sorry you had to hear that." "Richard is. It's fine, baby. I've heard worse in 42 years. She gave him a sad smile. "You focus on your work. Don't worry about me, But as she cleaned Richard's office later, Margaret couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. His desk was unusually cluttered with hastily stacked files. One folder lay open, marked Confidential, Henderson Portfolio. Margaret knew she shouldn't look. Knew it wasn't her place. But something made her glance down. The documents showed transactions that even her untrained eye recognized as suspicious. Money moving in circles. Accounts that didn't match. She quickly pulled out her phone and snapped a few photos, not entirely sure why, before hurrying out. 3 weeks later, Margaret arrived at work to find the 40th floor in chaos. Federal agents in FBI jackets moved through the offices. Employees whispered in clusters. What happened? Margaret asked another cleaner. Fraud investigation. That Richard Blackwood guy has been arrested. Embezzlement, insider trading, the works. Apparently, someone tipped off the SEC. Margaret's heart raced. The photos. She'd sent them anonymously to a financial crimes hotline after sleepless nights of debate, terrified of retaliation but unable to ignore what she'd seen. Excuse me, are you Margaret Williams? A woman in a sharp suit approached. Yes, I'm Sarah Chen, David's mother. He told me what you did for him. I wanted to thank you personally. Oh, that was nothing. It was everything. That presentation led to his promotion. He's being fast-tracked to junior partner. Sarah's eyes glistened. You gave my son a chance when you didn't have to. I won't forget that. After Sarah left, David himself appeared, grinning wider than Margaret had ever seen. Did you hear? Richard's gone. They're restructuring the whole division, and he paused. Margaret, can we talk privately? In an empty conference room, David's expression turned serious. The FBI questioned me about Richard. They wouldn't say much, but I know the investigation started from an anonymous tip. The timing, it was right after that day in the break room. Margaret's pulse quickened. David, I don't know what I'm not asking you to confirm anything. But if someone, hypothetically, did the right thing and is worried about consequences, they should know they'll be protected. I made sure of that. He met her eyes meaningfully. The partners are grateful to whoever brought this to light. Very grateful. Margaret nodded slowly, relief washing over her. Also, David continued, pulling out an envelope, we're hiring a new director of building operations. Someone to oversee all facilities, cleaning staff, maintenance, basically make sure people who keep this place running are treated with respect. The salary is $85,000 plus benefits. I told them I knew the perfect candidate. Margaret stared at the job description he handed her. David, I don't have a college degree. I've cleaned offices my whole life. You have something better, you see things others miss, you solve problems, and you treat people with dignity. That's worth more than any degree. He smiled. Besides, you'd be helping me out. If you take the job, I won't have to interview a dozen strangers. I need to think about it. Take your time. Just know that you've already proven you belong on this floor, Margaret. Not pushing a cart, but sitting at the table. That evening, Margaret sat in her small apartment in Queens, staring at the job description. Her daughter, Patricia, home from nursing school, read over her shoulder. Mama, this is incredible. You have to take it. I don't know, baby. What if I'm not good enough? What if they realize they made a mistake? Patricia knelt beside her mother's chair. You've been making other people's workspaces perfect for 20 years. You've raised 3 kids on your own. You helped that young man when you could have just kept walking. You exposed a criminal when you could have stayed silent. How is any of that not good enough? Margaret thought about her mother's watch on her wrist. Her mother had worked as a domestic helper her entire life, always told to know her place, to stay invisible, to not reach for more. Your grandmother told me once that good things don't happen to people like us, Margaret said quietly. That we should be grateful for what we have and not get ideas above our station. And what do you think, Mama? Margaret looked at her daughter, brilliant, ambitious, about to graduate top of her nursing class. She thought about David, who'd seen her as a person, not just a cleaner. She thought about the courage it took to send those photos, to speak up even anonymously. I think, Margaret said slowly, that maybe it's time to stop listening to fear and start listening to possibility. 6 months later, Margaret Williams sat in her new office, smaller than Richard's old corner suite, but with a window and her name on the door. She'd implemented new training programs for the facility's staff, negotiated better wages and benefits, and established a mentorship program pairing cleaning staff with employees in other departments. David knocked on her open door. "Got a minute?" "For you. Always." Margaret gestured to the chair across from her desk. "I wanted you to be the first to know. I'm leaving Wellington and Associates." Margaret's heart sank. "Oh, David, no. Is it because of Richard's old allies? I know some partners still." "Nothing like that." He grinned. "I got an offer to start my own ethical investment firm. Small at first, but growing. And I want you on my board of advisors." "Me?" "David, I know nothing about investments. You know about integrity. You know about seeing what others miss. You know about courage." He leaned forward. "That day you helped me, you didn't see a junior analyst who might be useful later. You saw someone struggling and offered help. That's the culture I want to build. And I can't think of anyone better to help me do it." Margaret felt tears prick her eyes. "When do we start?" 3 months. "But there's something else." David pulled out another envelope. "Remember when I said the partners were grateful to whoever tipped off the SEC? There was a whistleblower reward. A substantial one. The FBI confirmed it was your tip that broke the case open." Margaret opened the envelope. The number made her gasp. $250,000, David said softly. "The agency wanted to deliver it themselves, but I asked if I could be here when you found out." Margaret couldn't speak. That money meant Patricia could finish nursing school debt-free. Meant her son could start the business he'd been dreaming about. Meant her youngest could have the tutoring he needed. Meant she could help her community, give back, create opportunities. "There's one more thing," David said. "Richard Blackwood's trial starts next month. Your testimony will be crucial. He's going to know it was you. His lawyers will try to intimidate you, discredit you, make you seem like just a maid who doesn't know what she saw." Margaret finished. She straightened in her chair. "Let them try. I've spent my whole life being underestimated. Being invisible. But I'm done apologizing for seeing the truth and speaking it." David smiled. "That's exactly what I hoped you'd say." The courtroom was intimidating, all dark wood and stern faces. Richard Blackwood sat at the defense table, looking diminished in his orange jumpsuit. His eyes found Margaret's, cold and hateful. But when Margaret took the stand and told her story, how she'd accidentally seen the documents, how she'd agonized over what to do, how she'd finally chosen conscience over fear, her voice never wavered. During cross-examination, Richard's lawyer tried to rattle her. "Mrs. Williams, isn't it true you had been passed over for promotion multiple times?" "Yes, sir." "And isn't it true you harbored resentment towards successful people in the firm?" "No, sir. I harbored respect for honest people and concern about dishonest ones. That's all." "You expect this jury to believe a cleaning woman understood complex financial documents. I expect this jury to believe that right and wrong don't require a college degree to recognize. My mother taught me that." The lawyer's face reddened. The jury looked sympathetic. Richard Blackwood was convicted on all counts. 7 years in federal prison. 1 year later, Margaret stood in a different kind of office, warm, full of light, with motivational quotes on the walls. "Chen and Associates Ethical Investment Group." Read the sign outside. Her title was Chief Culture Officer, and her job was to ensure the firm lived up to its name. Patricia stopped by after her hospital shift, now a registered nurse. "Mama, you look happy." "I am, baby. I really am. You know what's funny? You always taught us that hard work and kindness would pay off eventually. I believed it because you told me to, but I don't think I really believed it. Not until I saw it happen for you." Margaret thought about that moment in the elevator, when she'd first seen David struggling. How easily she could have walked past. How many times in life she'd been trained to walk past, to not get involved, to know her place. I think the lesson isn't that good things always happen to good people, Margaret said thoughtfully. It's that when we see someone struggling and we have the power to help even in small ways, we should. Not because of what we'll get back, but because that's how we want the world to work. And sometimes the universe notices, Patricia added. Sometimes it does. Margaret smiled, touching her mother's watch. Sometimes it really does. David appeared in the doorway with coffee for them both. Staff meeting in 10 minutes. We're discussing the new scholarship program for children of service workers. Margaret, I'll need your input. As her daughter left and David headed to the conference room, Margaret took a moment alone in her office. She looked at the framed photo on her desk, her 3 children, all thriving now. She looked at her reflection in the window, seeing not a maid but a mentor, an advisor, a woman who'd found her voice. The elevator dinged in the hallway, bringing new people with new stories to this place she'd helped build. Margaret picked up her coffee and headed to the meeting, ready for whatever came next. Because she'd learned the most important lesson of all, dignity isn't given by titles or paychecks. It's carried within, recognized by the worthy, and multiplied when we extend it to others. That's what her mother's watch had really meant to teach her. And now, finally, she understood.